I heard there's 5 chiefs that support Danielle Smith.
Yep. There's
That
actually
is
7. 7. Yep. 7. And we have the letter that she wrote that their names are on it.
That is ridiculous. That is the greatest betrayal of leadership from a First Nation. You're
Yep.
actively supporting a separatist that is going to eliminate any and everything that you stand for as a First Nation person. You're
Yep.
basically supporting the assimilation of all your treaty territory and all your people into the general masses. This is ridiculous. That is next level betrayal of your own people.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. But the thing is, this is what people have to understand. The corruption didn't come from within our community. With First Nations, it didn't come from inside the community. It came in with non-Indigenous people and government. That's what it was. It was the corruption. They just kept showing us, oh, we'll make you promises that we'll take care of you and all this. It's not the way people think it is. It's not that. They just want to extort us because they were using us as political pawns. They always have, but with Mark Carney, I think this is a big change that we need to shift the tables. I think that's what we need.
There's a comment here. Those same chiefs are at the rally right now. This is on TikTok. Is that the march of First Nations against Danielle Smith?
I do believe so.
Yeah.
I do believe
Well, I
so.
hope they wake up. I hope they wake up, because what they were doing, whether they know it or not, is betraying all First Nations, but mostly the First Nations of the people that they govern over. You see, there's a lot of corruption in First Nations. It's not a joke, and it is very real. The electoral system and the band council system is a system imposed to us by the federal government. And because it was imposed to us, we transformed right from Indian agents controlling the community. Basically, the Indian agents were chief of the entire community. Non-native people lived in the community that ran the entire community. One non-native family controlled all of it, all 5,000, 7,000 people. So we went from that system right to a band election system. And the band election system took those same concepts, the way the Indian agents ran reservations, and they just adopted it, punishing dissenters, only rewarding followers, and threatening people, giving jobs to families, all of these mindsets. This is exactly how Indian agents ran the reservation. Indian agents will have their little mouses come to them and tell them, oh, there's little whispers of here over there, of this. And then the Indian agent will go and punish those people, give little tiny breadcrumbs for these little mice or these little rats. And that's the exact same mentality of First Nation systems right now. First Nations have to realize that they are still in a colonial system being ran by chief and council. That you have to get empowered, and you have to demand more from your chief and council. You have to demand accountability. That's the only way that the corruption is going to stop. And I guarantee you, these 5 chiefs or 7 chiefs are bought and paid for by the oil executives and Danielle Smith. And this is why they got to lay in. Oh, money can only take you so far. Money can't hide you. Money can't take you and magically disappear you to a wonderful life in a castle somewhere. Eventually, you're going to have to face your people. You're going to have to face your neighbor. And I think these chiefs that are now at the protests against Danielle Smith now are realizing that your neighbor is looking at you. Your people are looking at you.
Here's the letter. And this is written by Premier Danielle Smith. Dear Chief Knowlton, Grand Chief Mercredi, Grand Chief Desjardins, Chief Dixon, Chief Young, Chief Paquette, and Chief Whitney. Alberta continues to face challenges stemming from the last 10 years of the anti-resource and anti-development policies and legislations imposed by the federal government on our province. These hostile actions have drastically reduced the standard of living for all Albertans, including the Indigenous people of Alberta, which he has in all caps. I want to reinstate that as Premier, I will continue to fight with all that I have to protect both the constitutional sovereignty of the province of Alberta, as well as the rights of First Nations living in Alberta. I also wish to reiterate that I share in my address to Albertans on May the 6th as Premier. I am entirely committed to protecting, upholding, and honoring the constitutional right of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. These include ensuring that any citizen-initiated referendum, if passed, must uphold and honor treaties 6, 7, and 8. To reinsert this commitment to you, our government will be tabling an amendment to Bill 54 that states nothing in a referendum held under this act to be construed as arbitrating or derogating from any existing Aboriginal and treaty right of the Aboriginal people of Canada that are recognized and affirmed by Section 35 of the Constitutional Act 1982. In my same May 6th address, I laid out Albertans' expectations for the federal government to respect our province's constitutional sovereignty within Canada that will allow Albertans, including our Indigenous partners, to flourish. In order to move forward, the federal government must address the inequalities imposed upon Albertans with regards to equalization and federal transfers that sees tons of billions of tax dollars transferred out of Alberta to other parts of the country each year, primarily to provinces with economies larger than ours. The injustices has also hurt the First Nation people that call Alberta home. The federal government has utterly failed to provide funding and freedom to your nations in many areas, including water projects, infrastructures, healthcare, economic reconciliation, and empowering Indigenous people to chart their own course in areas such as education and policing. From our part, the Albertan government strongly believes in and wants to facilitate First Nations prosperity and self-determination in line with your strongly held values and beliefs. We are proud of the work done to date, including that of the Alberta Indigenous Opportunities Corporation, Indigenous policing initiatives, forestry partnerships, as well as other initiatives, and are looking forward to more opportunities to work together in the future. With our treasured partnership in mind, I would like to take this opportunity to invite you to meet with me in these matters and accompany an Alberta delegation to Ottawa on a future date to advocate that Alberta, including First Nations in Alberta, receive our fair share of federal funding. We also see the opportunity for the creation of a new national, here we go, energy corridor in partnership with First Nation, leading to future prosperity for all Albertans. Taking this case to Ottawa in a united fashion would send a powerful message on behalf of all the people we represent, that our contributions to Canada will not be taken for granted any longer by the federal government. Together, we are a powerful force for prosperity, unity, and leadership. I hope we can walk this path together for everyone we respect. Sincerely, Danielle Smith. Wow. I had a hard time reading some of that because I wanted to scream. Some of the things that she mentioned are provincial responsibilities, not federal responsibilities. Smarshy, you live in Alberta. Oh, God. Oh, God is right. I am just foaming, right? With just, I want to get out and like protest and bring our Indigenous people together to say, wait a minute, we need to shut this down now. How are you feeling after hearing that letter and being an Albertan?
Embarrassed as all can be and try to use TikTok friendly language.
being Albertan and Indigenous in this country at this time with the current devil or the current antichrist, they call her, that we have in office, not only to mention she's my premier, she is also my MLA. So when everyone tells me to write to my MLA, I say I'm a little afraid to do that right now because I don't know how I would write it without going to jail. Because there's things I would like to say to this woman, but I can't. And as an Indigenous person in Alberta, I am terrified. I am looking for any way to get out of Alberta right now because I'm not safe. No one's safe in Alberta if you're Indigenous, because what that means to me is we'll talk a big game. We'll say everything that you want to hear, and we'll get you to go where we need you to go. And as soon as that's over, we don't need you anymore. You're on your own. I had talked to someone about a video that was going on, and if Alberta separates, Indigenous people will have their own hospital. Why do we need our own hospital? Yeah, exactly, Mo. My exact thoughts were shaking my head back and forth, and I was like, that's not a thing that should be in your mind. We need to get Indigenous people out of schools, and they need to earn their positions. Why are we getting people out of positions that they're qualified for? It seems to me more and more that what she's talking about and the people she's really focusing in on saving is that being non-Indigenous people. And that's the only people she wants to save. Doesn't matter how many immigrants or how many people coming here seeking refugee, asylum, or immigration. We're all a target to her. That's all she can use us for is political. And right now, and all it will ever be is lip service for me. As an Albertan scared, I am trying to figure a way to get out of Alberta. There is no solution other than to get her out of office and get someone new, the NDP, like Ned Denchi, because he actually gives a crap about our people and about the constituents. Because if you aren't for the constituents, this is not a job you deserve to be in or a title you deserve to call yourself. Thank you.
My take on that letter is that is some of the fanciest bullshit I've ever heard. Honestly, she knows very well that a lot of our First Nation chiefs are uneducated. And so if a First Nation chief that was uneducated and didn't have advisors that are educated might see that letter and be like, oh my God, Danielle Smith wants to take care of us. But an educated mind on treaties and the structure of Canada and negotiating contracts will look at that letter and say, oh shit. That paragraph, it says, we are committed for the First Nation to have, it says something about constitutional rights. That means First Nations are going to have the same exact rights as non-First Nations. There's no distinction between you two anymore. Hello? Duh, she's telling you right in the freaking letter that your rights as First Nations are going to be gone and your constitutional rights, just like everybody else, is going to be the exact same. Next, it does this fancy dance about upholding your treaties and stuff like that. But she knows very well that if she separates Alberta from Canada, there is no treaties. So that's another bullshit line. And then she's talking about marching up, join us, march up to Ottawa and help us argue about equalization payments and corridors. She's using First Nation people as a prop, as a tool to pressure the federal government. She's using you. Can't you see it? You're a token Indian. She's using you as a token Indian to march up to Ottawa to argue on her behalf when you don't have a clue what you're arguing about for. That's all. She's using you. She's using you as a token Indian. She's promising you she's not touching your trees when she knows well ahead legally if she separates, there goes your treaty. And plus she tells you that constitutionally you're going to be just like everybody else. So no more First Nations in Alberta if they separate.
And no more First Nations Inuit rights are going to be upheld.
None.
We just got ourselves governance not too long ago for our Métis community.
what does that mean as Alberta, Jake said. And the way I see it, I do like the chiefs that stood up to her and said, you know what, if you don't like it in Canada, leave. You don't like it, get leave, pack your bags. The last thing they said to her before they ended the press conference, rank is due, Danielle, pay up. And they stopped right there.
That
Right.
message really needs to go to the chiefs that you're
Yeah.
being used as a prop. You're told straight in the freaking letter that you're going to have the same rights as everybody else in Alberta, both native and non-native. And she knows legally that if she separates, your treaties are gone. So, like, hopefully somebody's advising those chiefs, somebody with an education that is from those communities, and basically telling those chiefs to smarten the hell up.
If I may touch on this a little more, you did say there are chiefs that are uneducated because they don't have a level of education. Did you know if any Indigenous person wanted to get a further education, they had to give up their status first before they could do it? Because nobody wanted a smart, in their terms, nobody wanted a smart Indian. They wanted to keep us uneducated. And that's why they did what they did. And this is why we're having the problems we're having with First Nations, Métis, and Inuit, because it went all across the board. It is so deplorable that these chiefs are falling for it, because it's like falling into a trap with a snake oil salesman. That's exactly what it is.
And these chiefs that are supporting her, they're going to regret it for the rest of their lives, because all their community members will be pointing at them. You screwed up our lives. You made us regular non-Indigenous citizens. And your children and your whole legacy will be remembered in history as you damned your own people.
And the status goes away.
I want to tell our brothers and sisters of Alberta that we're with them, that we're united across Canada, and we stand with you. We can't allow your right to be taken. And we need to watch this closely, because, as we know, the most racial document that we have in this country is the Indian Act. Actually, one thing that Canada did, do you know apartheid was based on the Indian Act from Canada?
Yep.
I was shocked when I found that out. I was like, why? But now our government is proposing to get rid of the Indian Act, which, yes, it has to be gone, but to bring in UNDRIP. And if you really pay attention to UNDRIP, maybe we can do another segment about UNDRIP on its own. It will remove most of our rights and make us the same as every other Canadian.
Yeah. I hope, you guys are getting a hold of the chiefs